everybody. Welcome to episode 54 of Destination Talk. I'm John Paz.
And I am Harry, and we are coming to you once again from Stellar 19 Studios, located at 750 Route 34 in Matawan, New Jersey. Shout out to our show sponsor, the Academy in Garwood. You can find them at academysportsnj.com. And also a welcome to one of our newer sponsors, which John's going to talk about.
Yes, Wrestling Hub, a centralized network to help coaches promote their clinics, private lessons, and camps, and parents and kids can find these opportunities. You can follow them on Instagram at wrestlinghub.official.
Welcome to Wrestling Hub. Looking forward to the relationship we're going to build with them. And today we are joined by Coach Zach Watkins from Washburn University. Coach, how are you doing today? Thank you for taking the time out of your day to be a part of ours.
Yeah, doing great. Thank you guys for having me on. I love what you guys are doing, and I've listened to a bunch of episodes, and you guys do a great job. So I appreciate you having us on.
Well, really do appreciate the kind words and supporting what we're doing, and we're here to help support you as well. To have you tell your story and tell our audience about what your school is all about, and who knows, maybe someone will decide to go to Washburn in the future after they've heard this episode. We will see. So, Coach, if you can tell us a little bit about who you are, just a little bit of background for our listeners, so they kind of have an understanding of who they're listening to today.
Yeah, you bet. I'm from Independence, Missouri, right by Arrowhead Stadium is where I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri. And then I played football at Washburn in the late 2000s, and then played on a little bit after playing, and then got into coaching. I've been at a few different MIAA, which is our conference, MIAA schools, and came back to Washburn in 2014 as the D coordinator. And we got the head coaching job in November of 24. So year and a half on the job as the head coach, and really like where we're going. It's home to me. Played there I'm from an hour away, so this is where I want to be. I'm extremely fortunate to be the head coach at Washburn University, being a really good Division II program in the MIAA conference, being a great academic school, very successful athletically with facilities and the things that we're doing with the athletic department. It's a blessing and extremely fortunate to be the head coach at Washburn.
So football's been a large part of your life, but were there any other sports early on, when you were getting into it that you were also competing with as well?
Yeah, I played everything. I played football, basketball, baseball, all through high school, but played, soccer, hockey, picked up golf. I mean, all that stuff. Just the competition is what I always love. The competition still now in your job and your day-to-day life is competition. I have two young kids, a beautiful wife, and we compete at home. And, it's fun, and competition is everything. And sports have obviously my profession now, but it's really shaped my life and who I am and the path that I've taken and where I've gone. And without sports, I'm not sure if I'd be in an office somewhere working a normal 9 to 5, but I just love the path I've been on, as circuitous as it's been. It's been great to be here. And I think the kids we recruit are multi-sport athletes as well. The kids that have a well-rounded base of athletic skills, but different coaching. Some are individual sports like track or wrestling, but some are team sports like football, basketball. So all those type of things go into being a competitor, but also recruiting the right kids for our program.
What was it about football in the end that won out for you?
Yeah, football was just always the thing that I loved the most. And maybe I was better in another sport when I was younger, but football was just a year-round commitment for 10, 11, 12 games in the fall. And high school, you split your time and you're never just a football player. But then you get into college, and the year-round work for a fall season was just kind of addicting to me. I loved the process of getting better. I loved how you can challenge yourself each day to become a better version of yourself and to be a better football player. And what you do in January is probably going to affect what you do in August or September. And I just love that. And that's how we coach in our program now. And that's really what drove me.
Let's rewind the clock a little bit, Coach. Can you bring us back to your high school days and kind of talk about what that was like through your time on the field and your time in high school?
Yeah, I went to Truman High School, named after Harry S. Truman, in Independence, Missouri, just a few miles from Arrowhead Stadium right there, and loved it. And football was not Truman's most successful sport. really good in all the other sports, but football was never what we were best at. Won a game, then won 2 games, and senior year we won 6 and won conference and won districts. And you think going 6-4 was the best record you could ever achieve. But the struggle of not winning, and again that process of a year-long commitment to winning 2 games in the fall, your first couple of years on varsity was addicting. And then senior year it paid off, and had a lot of interest in recruiting, and but didn't have any football scholarship offers. So when I left high school, visited a couple of MIAA schools, and I actually walked on at Washburn in 2005, redshirted, and then was able to start for 4 years at linebacker. So a very, not consistent path in how recruiting is now, but also one of those things that kind of shows that perseverance pays off.
And walking on at any level is a challenge, regardless of whether it's at the D1 or the D3 level. So what was it about your mindset and how you approached it that walking on at Washburn and saying, hey, I'm going to make this team and I'm going to do whatever I have to do? What helped you get to that point?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do after high school. If I wanted to, I'm from Missouri, so if I wanted to go to Mizzou and just get a great education or try the athletics route. I had interest from football, basketball, and baseball coaches, but again, football was just kind of the one for me. And my first goal when I decided to go to Washburn was I want to see if I'm good enough to play here. I want to see if I can see myself playing here one day, or if I could earn a scholarship, or if college football is for me. So I knew if I went back to a 4-year university and didn't play sports, then you could, at least check that box and you tried it. And training camp was tough. It was a 3-week camp and it was a grind. But I realized a few days in, like, I can play here. Like, I'm as good as these guys, or coaches has me in rotating with these guys. And I was a true freshman walk on. And so it kind of started a fire of, okay, well, now you just work hard. You're going to hopefully maybe pass some guys. And then redshirted that first year. The spring of my redshirt year, I started in the spring game and kind of knew that there was potential to play a lot that next fall. And then the next fall I started. So didn't plan to be a 4-year starter. I didn't plan to set records. I didn't plan to do anything. I just planned to see if I could make the team. And that mindset of like betting on yourself and believing how good you are, how good you could be, obviously paid off.
So switching over after college, you had an opportunity to go on to the Minnesota Vikings mini camp, correct?
Yeah, I was in camp with the Vikings and did tryouts and workouts with several other teams. Being a Division II player, even though you've got some stats and some accolades that I had throughout my college career, you really have to stand out at the D2 level. You have to have the intangible size and the intelligence, but also the physical makeup of, the things that they want in a linebacker. And my talent hopefully got me in the door. And then playing days didn't work out. Again, same thing as I had the exact same mindset as college. Essentially, I walked on to the NFL. I mean, I walked on, tryout, no signing bonus, nothing like that. It was just, hey, come try out and see if you can make this team. And I took the exact same approach I did 5 years earlier, walking on a Washburn with no scholarship and the same mindset. And obviously, there were first-round draft picks and veterans there and guys you're trying to compete with. And so didn't play, in the NFL, but being in camps and being at tryouts and talking to NFL coaches. And it was such a good experience for me. I can kind of educate our players now, and contacts in the NFL and friends that coach in the NFL now. It's a really good connection just for the future of our program and the kids that go. And then when, playing didn't work out, that's when I just kind of thought that coaching was the path.
So, Coach, you gain all this experience. You're going through all these different steps to get to where you are. Now you find yourself as a head coach, and people will say a head football coach, offense, defense, special teams, all that stuff, recruiting. But what message can you share to our audience, and even helping us understand as well? What do we not see beyond all of those things I mentioned that goes into running a football program? And at least I would imagine at least 100 young men under your watch.
Yeah, I don't care what level you're at, NFL, FBS Division I, Division II, where we are, high school, youth football. If you're the head football coach, sometimes it's a lonely seat. And when we got the job, we had a great vision and a plan, and we've enacted that over the year and a half that we've been here. But when I was going through the process, I knew that I did not want to coach a position. I knew I wanted to delegate the day-to-day coaching to the coaches and to the assistants and the coordinators. I knew my best trait was the leadership and the vision and the enacting what I want our culture to be. And so I kind of took that CEO approach as a head coach, which again could be lonely sometimes. Those guys are in meetings. Those guys are doing walkthroughs, whatever they're doing. And maybe you're with the AD or you're fundraising or you're bouncing around in meetings to learn everything, but you're not in charge of any one of those things. And so at our level is different than Division I. We have a lot of off the field duties with academics and recruiting and things that we have to be hands-on with that maybe the upper level schools don't. We also have a good support staff, so we don't have to do some things that maybe the NAIA, JUCO, Division III, or high school guys have to. So it's all relative based on where you are. But the good thing that this level provides is really good football players that make a head coach's job, easy in the fact that you're coaching high quality football with scholarships, with kids that want to be there, with kids that want to work to be there. And it's a really good setup for a head coach.
Is there anything, Coach, that keeps you up at night during the season?
Yeah, so we've been through one season now with our current program, and it's when I was a D coordinator, it was a big time player or a big time scheme or something like that. How do we stop these guys? As a head coach now, it's an all encompassing overview of, are we prepared? But is everything else right? Is the travel right? Are the buses right? The hotels right? And I delegate most of those duties to our assistants, and they do a tremendous job. We have a tremendous staff, but you're just never, you're never sure until you get there. Is the equipment done? Are our players ready to go? Have we coached them well enough? Have we prepared them well enough? And, we have a really good process that you work throughout the week. So Friday, that you're in a great spot, but you worry or think about different things than you do as a coordinator for sure.
Can you bring it back a little bit to your early coaching years as soon as you got done, with your time at the mini camps and to the NFL and kind of getting into coaching, what that early coaching period was like for you before you got to be a head coach?
Yeah, so in the summertime, after my senior year of college, when the playing time and camp started and the NFL dream was slowly dying, I knew I wanted to get my master's. I'm a finance major, have a business background. I knew I wanted to get my master's. I did not know that I wanted to coach. I knew being a graduate assistant, being a GA would get you that free master's, would set you up with the coaching staff. You could coach football while getting your master's paid for. And so that was the path that I decided to pick. So I went to Northwest Missouri State, a really good Division II program in our conference. I had 4 or 5 GA offers, but I knew I wanted to go someplace different. So I went to the top school in our conference, the top school in Division II at the time, and learned from those guys. And I got there in January of 2011 and was in spring ball and learned a lot from those guys. I'm still close friends with a lot of those guys. Some of those guys are still at Northwest. Some are at other places now. But that really set up the foundation of what coaching was going to be like for me. And about a month or two in, my plan was to get a free master's and just see if coaching was it, but then go into the business world. And about 2 months in, I said, hey, this is exciting. This is fun. I mean, it's like playing, but you're preparing, but you're not physically preparing for the game. You're mentally preparing to coach these guys and win a game. And I love the competitive atmosphere. I love the leadership. I love the onus of the preparation being on you, and you have to relay that and teach that to your players. And so I was very fortunate to be there. I was there for 6 months. And then June of 2011, so just 6 months later from when I got the GA job, my college D coordinator became the head coach at Fort Hays State, also in our conference, and hired me as the linebackers coach. So I was a 6-month GA, very fortunate to be at Northwest Missouri in general, but also very fortunate to get a full-time job 6 months after being a GA. And then 6 months later, I was at Fort Hays State as a full-time linebackers coach. I played for Team USA in their International Football Bowl that summer. And then I got to Fort Hays about 3 weeks before training camp started and started my coaching career. So didn't really know what I was doing. I only had 6 months of GA experience to play, to get ready for that. But Coach Brown, the head coach of Fort Hays, gave me an opportunity. Very thankful for that, and dove right in. And we coached our first season as a program, and my first season as a full-time coach. And spent 3 years there helping Coach Brown and the staff build the program. They've done a great job since I've left. They've won the conference and built one of the best programs in our conference. And then came to Washburn and was a D coordinator, special teams coordinator, coached the linebackers, coached the safeties, coached all the DBs, did a lot of different things over the 8-9 years I was here before I got the head job. And so I've only been at 3 different schools, but all within the same conference, all within the top of the conference, so you can see how different schools do it. And my journey is extremely fortunate. People have given me an opportunity to be a full-time coach and be a coordinator and be a head coach when maybe I was inexperienced to do so, or I was too, young, but everybody's given me that chance. And so I try to work really hard for all those people, but also knowing what it takes to build the staff and give our staff that same vision.
One of the things that I'm hearing and is there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of listening, and there's a lot of relationships being built through the years in all these different stops. How important are those 3 components and how it's helped shape you to where you find yourself now as the head coach?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Those things are extremely key, and we talk about that with our coaching staff a lot. Is you have to listen, learn, and build relationships. We always say connection before correction. When we're a new staff and we came in, I knew all the kids because I had been there, but our entire staff that we hired didn't. And we're asking them to trust us and wake up early and be here in the summer and do all the things that are successful to a football program. But you have to build a relationship first. You have to listen to them, learn why the previous seasons weren't successful. You have to listen to their problems and what they need to get better at and how you can help them. Learning names, learning what makes kids tick, learning everything. And then the relationships drive that. And I think relationships within the coaching profession obviously are what maybe get you a job or get you your foot in the door or get you a transfer maybe from a different school because of a connection you have. But our entire program is built on relationships. Washburn has tremendous people in the athletic department, at the school, tremendous student athletes, coaches. We're a very successful athletic department, and we have the right people. And so relationships drive all of that. And I think you hit it right on the head of if you listen, learn, and build relationships, no matter what that is, business, life, coaching, as a football player, as a CEO, as a doctor, no matter what you're doing, if you do that, you're always going to have genuine relationships, and people want to be around people that are genuine.
In some of the research I did on your school, it's been around since 1890, I believe, which is a long time ago. So you look at 1890, you played there, and now you find yourself as a coach. When you hear those 3 things, how do you put that into some perspective? The history of it, the history you've created, and now the history you're looking to create even further.
Yeah, when you get the head coaching job, you're just you're kind of swimming. So we didn't have a lot of time to get ready. We got the job, hired a staff, recruited, did all that stuff. But we also, there wasn't time to reflect. There wasn't time to, you're always thankful for the opportunity, but there wasn't time to just sit and wait. You had to build a staff and recruit and start spring ball. And so now we're a year and a half in. We have really good processes in place, and our vision is kind of rolling. So you can kind of take some time and say, I've done fundraisers and golf tournaments and met a bunch of different people. And you just realize how important Washburn is to people, or the football program is, or the relationships that they built when they played, whether it was the 60s, 70s, 80s, or beyond. And when you're in your job, you're always going to work hard no matter what your job is. But when you are the head coach at your school, your alma mater, the people that know you and the people that it matters to, it definitely carries some different weight. And so it's not lost on me how fortunate I am. I am thankful for everything that the administration and Washburn has done for me. But our job is to develop these kids and graduate them and go win games and all that stuff now. So you have a day-to-day job and you can't spend all your time reflecting, but you do know that hey, it's just a big deal. No matter what level you're at, D2, D1, this is a big time job to me. And I treat it like it's the best job in the world, as I think it is. And if you have that approach and you're genuine with that, hopefully that can show up in your program and beyond.
So, Coach, your shirt there, it says "Be the standard." Can you tell us a little bit about what that phrase means to you in your program?
Yes, we have a pyramid of success that we enacted from day one. It was kind of a combination of coaches and players and things that we needed to do with our new program. And the bottom of the pyramid has 5 pillars. The middle of the pyramid has 2 focuses, and the top triangle part of the pyramid is our 1 priority. So be the standards at the top of that. And so the 5 pillars of our program are family, accountability, discipline, toughness, and respect. The 2 focuses are develop and graduate, and the priority of our program all leading up to what we call be the standard. And be the standard is no matter what your title is in life, everybody has titles. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a coach, I'm a brother, I'm a son, a cousin, right? And then our players have a lot of titles. They're students, they're athletes. Some of our kids are fathers, they're brothers, they're sons, all those things. And so whatever title you have in life, we want you to be the standard of that. There's all kinds of mantras you kind of come up with or mottos you think about as you're starting a program. And I wanted our guys to be the best of everything. I want Washburn football to eventually be the standard of Division II football. We don't have rules in our programs. We call it standards. The standard of being on time and treating people with respect and working hard at everything you do. We have standards for how we recruit, physical standards for different positions, O-line, corners, whatever, different standards of how we practice. We never walk on the field. We jog everywhere. We hit a sign of a fallen player every time we walk down the field. So there's not rules in our program. It's not show up at this time and go to bed at this time and do this and don't do that. We just have standards of how you operate day in and day out, and that's going to lead us to where we want to go. So our 5 pillars, our 2 focuses, and the ultimate part of the pyramid is be the standard.
Culture is a word that gets thrown around quite a bit in a lot of different avenues, whether it be sports, business, just everything. When you hear the word culture and how it applies to Washburn, your be the standard motto, how does that fit in?
Yeah, we call it that. We call it the be the standard culture, and that's all we have to say. And we have wristbands that says be the standard and says Washburn football. And we give these to every member of our team, every admin, every person that touches our program, alumni, fans. We've probably given out thousands of these things. And it's very simple. I mean, a lot of people have those. But if a guy's not finishing a rep or not behind the line or is late to class, we just kind of look at it and guys tap it and say, hey, and they know what that means. And that's not living up to the standard. And culture, like you said, yeah, it is thrown around a lot. And we obviously try to create the best culture possible. But when you have a very defined culture with the standards and how high those standards are, but also we gave it a name. We gave it to be the standard culture. And so there's nothing lost in translation. There's no gray area in our program. It's black and white. Guys know if that's to the standard or not. We're not raising the standard or living up to the standard. We're being that. You have to be that every day from when you wake up throughout your workday till you go to bed. And so that was the first thing with being a part of the previous staff and knowing what we could improve and what we needed to try to work on. That was the number one thing of why I didn't want to coach a position. I wanted to drive the vision and the culture of our program and coaches and players every single day and know that, hey, everything we do falls back on me, falls back on our coaches. It's the, extreme ownership mindset that you're in charge of everything, no matter if you actually do the task day to day or not, you're in charge of it. And so I wanted to create a very black and white, let's do it this way because this will lead to success. And I think our team culture is as strong as anybody in college football. And I've not been to every program, obviously, but I know we're doing things every day that enhances that. We have our Wednesday program that we call Built for Life, which is off the field, no football talk, all life building skills. And we've got all the different things that we do, accountability groups, Big Brother, Influence Council that Coach Parks leads, but all the different things that we do that are intentional to create a good culture. It's not just a word. We don't just be the standard on the wall. We actively do something every day which pushes our culture forward.
So, Coach, what separates Washburn football from other programs?
That's a good question. And on the field right now, we're catching up. We've not had successful years, which is why I'm sure that I got the job. And our job is to win games, obviously. But Washburn's a very good academic school, almost 8,000 kids, and extremely nice athletic facilities and academic facilities. So the school itself is tremendous. We have some of the best academics in Division II, and so we can recruit the type of kid that wants to be a really good student and a good football player. Obviously, that's a main driver of our program is to graduate our kids, but we can recruit everybody from high GPA and academic focused first before athletics. We can recruit those kids and retain them. Because the Washburn degree means a lot. The people here are great. We're in Topeka, Kansas, so 125,000 people in our city. So it's a great opportunity to be in a place that has opportunity for jobs, internships, entertainment, weekend opportunities. You're not in a small town that kids have to find things to do to stay out of trouble. There's a lot of opportunity for kids in a city like ours. And so when you combine that with the academics at the university and the vision of our president and our athletic director to drive our university forward, but then the vision of our football program, but there's nothing too small that we'll do. Recruiting, football coaching, our coaching staff, we call it our edge. We try to find an edge in everything that we do. How can we out-recruit? How can we outwork? How can we out-scheme? How can we out-relationship build everybody else? And if you have that constant process-driven competitive mindset, eventually you're gonna end up in a really good spot.
Coach, one of the messages we'd like to convey to our audience, athletes and parents alike, for the last 16 years, I've been blessed. I get the opportunity to work with athletes, and I guess you can call my day job as a performance coach. I co-own a sports performance facility, but I myself was a collegiate athlete. I played baseball at Caldwell University, a Division II program. John competed at Rutgers University, where he was a wrestler and attained All-American honors. We understand that you competed, you got very close to the highest level of your sport, even if it just was in training camps. What's the message you can give to those athletes out there that are in high school? And we're going to build off of this in a moment, but the message that you can give to them, their parents, of what it truly takes to go from high school to college athletics.
There's nothing that's easy, right? I mean, going from middle school to high school isn't easy. Going from junior varsity to varsity isn't easy. So no matter what level you go to, high school to college is going to be difficult. And so we talk to our guys every single day that it's going to be hard. Football is just hard. Sometimes you don't make it hard. It's just hard. It's hard to wake up. It's hard to lift. It's hard to train. So I have the mindset and the knowledge and the confidence that it's going to be difficult. You go from high school to any level, D3 JUCO, NAIA, D2, FBS, it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easier because it's this level or that level. It's going to be difficult, but it's a good difficult. It's a good difficult. It's a good hard because it's going to make you into what you want to be. And it's going to be hard work. It's going to be sacrifice. It's going to be dedication at every single thing you decide to do, really on or off the field. But that's kind of the advice we give our high school seniors that we recruit. No matter what level you're going to, it's going to be some struggle. You probably didn't start as a freshman on varsity at most high schools. You're probably not going to start as a freshman in college because we've got guys who have been here for 4 years, same as high school. So don't think going Division III or Division II is going to be easier than if you went Division I. It's going to be hard. And we talk about that so often. I think our kids have become ingrained in it. But if high school kids or coaches or, trainers or agents or whoever it may be that's helping a kid out, let the kid know it will not be easy with the transfer portal, and sometimes taking the easy way out is possible now. Know it's going to be hard. Know you're going to struggle. Know it will not be an easy transition, but it's all going to be worth it in the end. So with the mindset going in, knowing that, then you have a lot more success, just because your mindset's better.
Well, I think you kind of led us into our very next question, which is, transitioning into. So I would never ask you to, I'm not going to ask you to comment on another school or another program, but more so just a generalization of the topic. We had Coach Joe Adam on the show a while back. He's the head football coach at St. Anselm's College in Manchester, New Hampshire, Division II program in the NE10 conference here in this part of the country. Their school just recently made the decision to go from Division II down to Division III. And one of the reasons behind it was they didn't feel that it didn't match their ideals for education and where they were. The conference has seen 3 schools go from 2 to 1 in the last few years, and 1 school completely close. In the Northeast, the NE10 is truly the only Division II program in this part of the country. I know Division III is a lot bigger around here. How healthy and successful is the Division II program in your part of the country? And the secondary question is you brought up the portal, NIL deals. It's a hot topic. How do you handle it? And do you see Division II possibly getting squeezed out at some point where we may only have D1 and D3 in the future?
Yeah, I mean, those are all great questions, and parents ask us those, and coaches, and even if you're in it every day like I am, it's still an evolving knowledge topic. So I don't think you're ever going to have all the answers.
Right.
But kind of answer your first question, Division II football is very healthy overall, but it's very healthy, in our conference and what seems like the Midwest, from the Northern Sun and the CLIAC up north, and the MIAA, where we are right in the middle of the country, the RMAC in Colorado, the Lone Star in Texas, the Pennsylvania conferences, GLVC. I mean, the Midwest area is really where Division II football has always succeeded. East and West Coast, you've had some schools, like you said, have dropped divisions or raised divisions or dropped programs. And I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but I do think Division II is extremely healthy. Now, Division II is in a very unique spot because we are scholarships like D2 and Division I, where D3 is not, but also, we don't have the Division I money or pressure at times. You're not going to have one bad year and be on the hot seat. But it's a very unique spot where you're under Division II rules. Division I, FCS, FBS are both under the same set of rules for the most part, but Division II is not, and Division III is a little bit. So we're kind of our own pocket. So your second question, I don't think Division II completely eliminates at all. I mean, it won't just be D1 and D3, but I do think that teams that are fluid or maybe move up a level or move down a level, I hate using those terms, up or down, but if teams move levels, that's probably more of a university decision based on the
Right.
health of the conference or the level itself. But I love this level. Obviously, it's very good football, like I mentioned, and you can recruit great student athletes. We have scholarship money, and there's all kinds of, like you mentioned, transfer portal, NIL affects every level, our level, Division I, but it's still the perfect level to me of what college football truly is. You can recruit kids, you can develop kids, you can retain kids. We've obviously lost some guys that are very, very talented. They've been able to move up to Division I and make a lot of money, and I hate losing kids from our program, but I'm happy for the kid to pursue what his dreams are. But our level is perfect for what college football has always been. Now it's becoming much harder at other levels, I'm sure, but that's why I love Division II, because it's a great life. It's a great somewhat balance, as much balance as there can be in football, but it's also a chance to still build a program and develop kids, which is why that's one of our main focuses of our program.
So, Coach, when you bring a kid on campus, recruit wise, when they leave campus, what is one thing you hope that they feel or that they get before they go home and decide where they want to go to school?
I think every kid has said this when they come on campus is, wow. And I didn't expect that, because most Division II schools or cities or towns or universities don't have not just the physical things that we have. We have a incredible indoor facility. It's a football field next to an indoor bank track, the only bank track in Division II football. We've got a 12,000 square foot weight room. We just returfed our game field. We're building a brand new football locker room and tennis complex. So every athletic facility has been touched in the last 5 years, and that's several hundreds of millions of dollars. Not just athletically, we're building new academic buildings. We have a brand new law school, a brand new Kansas Bureau of Investigation building on our campus, brand new dorms. Our campus has grown tremendously. We spent over $200 million in the past 7, 8, 9 years on campus improvements. And so when people come on campus, they're just blown away. And I think when they leave campus, whether it's a student for a normal campus visit or a student athlete on a football recruitment visit, they can say, damn, that's a place I can go and be successful and graduate from and have a really good degree that carries a lot of weight, in the academic world. But also I can play a really high level of football against nationally ranked teams with elite Division II, even Division I type facilities, while getting, scholarship money and other NIL opportunities, because we are in a big city and businesses and all that kind of stuff. And so I just think kids say, wow, when they leave. And our biggest asset is our people. And we think if we get kids on campus, we always have a chance to, land them. We have a chance to sign them if they come to campus, because campus just shows so well.
I think we got to go visit.
Hey, you guys are more than welcome. If you guys are ever in this part of the town, Coach Parks and I will give you guys the grand treatment, so come on out.
Yeah, my All-American, I was in St. Louis, so not too far. I was in Missouri. That's where I wrestled there. So I've been there a couple times.
That's right. That's right. You were out that way. Coach, you mentioned a little earlier about leadership and being lonely at the top. So who does the head coach lean on when he needs to talk to someone?
So two parts to that answer. One part is our other head coaches, because no matter what sport you coach, you're going to have some of the same issues. And I've had very in-depth conversations with pretty much every head coach at Washburn, but also other head coaches, my colleagues that are at the Division II, Division I, the NFL level. And if you're in charge of anything, coordinator, head coach, you're going to be lonely. But the head coaching job, you just don't know what goes into it until you're in it. So leaning on other head coaches and talking to other guys and females who have been in that role before is absolutely essential. Also within our staff, we have some different structures with obviously coordinators and a director of player personnel, which is a position we created. So a lot of the times where as guys are not in meetings, the other coaches you lean on because you have to. And, you have to have people that understand what you're going through. And not that it's, unbearable. It's just sometimes you don't, you're not around a group of 20-year-olds because you're not coaching a position. You're not, you're raising money. You're doing things the head coach has to do. And that's why I structured it that way. I did not want to be the D coordinator still. And if I get pulled away, the defensive staff has to suffer or wait for me to come back. And so when you hire the right people, like we did, we hired the right coaching staff. We recruited the right kids. We have the brand new strength coach. So when you have the right people in place, then you're not worried about what they're doing. You're not micromanaging them. You can run the program because nobody else can.
Mm-hmm. So, Coach, when your players look at you, the players from years past, what do you hope that they remember most about you for playing under you?
Yeah, I hope the relationship that they know transcends the field. I've been to a ton of weddings and shared pictures of my kids with them, and then they're having kids, with us. And so that's the ultimate goal is that you're a part of their life forever. You've impacted them positively, but also that they were a better person and a better football player because they came to your program or they were in your position group or because you were their mentor, their coach, their person. They're better off because of that. And, we have guys playing the NFL and that's great. And I'm really happy and that warms your heart. But there's nothing like somebody telling them they're thankful for you, that you were their coach and you influenced them in a way that shapes their life. And that's the most rewarding part. And now going into year 2 as the head coach, as a coordinator, position coach, you always have that interaction with your position, but you don't affect the whole team usually. So now as the head coach, I'm very intentional on talking to every kid every day, practice, weight room meetings, that every kid gets one-on-one time with me. I have what we call daily drop-ins. That's 3 meetings every day, 10 minutes apiece, where guys come in, we just catch up and talk. And it could be a walk-on freshman, could be the All-American NFL candidate, but it's everybody in between. So they know the head coach cares about them and they know that it matters. And so that's what I hope the guys say when they're done here at Washburn.
You brought up something too that I think gets overlooked. A lot of things fall through the cracks due to lack of communication, and you mentioned that word. So how important you have those meetings 3 times a day. Just how important is that line of communication to you, to your staff, to the rest of the personnel at the school as well as your players?
Yeah, communication is paramount. That's on the field, off the field. Our coaches give me grief sometimes because I'll say the same thing multiple times, and not that it's micromanaging them. It's just that I want to make sure there's never any gray area with what's expected from us as coaches, our players, or the schedule, or we're moving practice from the outside game field to the indoor because of rain or whatever it is. But the communication has to be elite. And same thing we tell our players, if we communicate on the field, we'll be a successful offense and defense. But communication of what's expected and those standards that we talk about, that's how day one we started the program. We talked to the AD, the trainers, the fundraising people, the marketing people, the strength coach, whoever touches your program. Hey, these are our standards. These are what we expect the guys to do. We expect them to do these many community service things. We expect them to do this, this, and this. And so that way there's no miscommunication. And pretty much every problem that I've seen as a head coach this past year and a half has been because of miscommunication. It's not been because the person's not capable or you didn't want it done. It's because it wasn't clearly defined and communicated who's doing it, what's being done, or when it needs to get done. And so I try to be very, very detailed with all that. Yeah.
So, Coach, how did spring ball wrap up for you? I believe that just did come to an end recently. And what are the early expectations moving forward into the fall with this upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, kind of looking big picture first, the win-loss record needs to improve. It will improve. But going back kind of that micro level, we got the job in late November, a year and a half ago. I hired the staff throughout the month of December. They got here in mid-January. So we had a couple weeks to sign our first class last year. This time last year, we finished our first spring ball, and coaches were learning each other's names and the schemes. We had to teach the coaches the schemes, then the coaches had to teach the players. We were enacting our Be the Standard culture, and it was a change for the entire athletic department for how the football program is going to operate. So we had to teach everybody that. And so fast forward to year 2, to kind of your question now, is the coaches aren't moving here. We're not setting the standard. We're not telling them what needs to be done. We're enacting all that. And so year 2 has been much smoother. We had a chance to recruit guys for a full year, high school kids transfers. So our high school class in January or February we signed, and the transfers that we brought in January are some of the best talent we've ever had at Washburn because we worked really hard in recruiting for a full year. Spring ball was much smoother. We ended with a great scrimmage. We're so much farther ahead in our scheme knowledge, but also some of the ins and outs of the checks and the adjustments, and coaching wise, we're so much more on the same page because you're not learning a new scheme. You're just figuring out what we struggle with in the fall, how we can teach it better from year 1. Each coach has what we call a red book, and each coach have a red binder. And in the red book is some of your off the field duties, but also just a recap of the last year. And so you forget things so often. If you go back in your red book and it's January through December, and it's month by month and what you did, and that way we're never as bad as we were. We're always going to be better no matter what it is, something small or big or on or off the field. And so all that to say, to answer your question, I think we're in a much better spot moving forward than we were a year ago. We have better talent, better structure, better knowledge, better coaching. I'm a much better head coach than I was, a year ago. So I'm really excited about where this 2026 team is going.
So, Coach, as we come to an end here, if you could talk to your younger self before this journey started for you, what would you say?
That's a great question. I didn't know I was going to be a football coach like we talked about. I wanted to get a free master's degree and go in the business world, and then fell in love with coaching. And I think the biggest thing that I got told as a young coach by Scott Bostwick, he was the D coordinator in Northwest Missouri, became the head coach, and then passed away 6 months after becoming the head coach. And it was the first time I ever heard it, but make the big time where you are. In other words, be where your feet are, work really hard where you are, opportunities happen. And that's where I really devised the process-driven mindset. And you can't win game 1 next fall if you don't win January through August. And right now, I'm promoting our program with you guys and hopefully spreading the word about Washburn and what we're doing. And, that's all part of making our program better. The more people hear what we're doing, and maybe a recruit hears this, maybe a parent, maybe you guys now know more about us. And so that's all part of it. And every day you got to be very intentional with getting better, with working hard. And you can't focus on the end goal and the destination. The process and the journey will always lead you to that. When I was a young coach or a young player, you wanted to start right away. You wanted to be an All-American right away. You wanted to be a head coach right away, but you can't. You have to take the steps that lead you there, struggles, successes, all those things. And so just knowing that the process, if you show up every day and work your ass off, will put you exactly where you want to be.
And I think that's what Coach just said right there. That's the whole reason why we started this podcast, for people to share their journeys and how they got to their destination, because without the journey and the opportunities to getting to that destination is really, really hard.
And the relationships we are creating, because like I said earlier, I never would have imagined speaking to the number of guests we have and the diversity that we've come across with many different sports and individuals. So, Coach, we really do want to thank you for taking time out of your day to be a part of ours. We really had fun with this interview today, learning about your background in your school, continued success to a healthy and successful season to all of your players. And we'll be cheering you on from here in New Jersey, keeping up with everything that's going on with Washburn University. And with that being said, that is a wrap on episode 54 of Destination Talk with Paz and Harry. Until the next time.
Cut.